Quite the back and forth between the three-judge panel and the defense team for former President Trump this morning in a U.S. district court. We're waiting for now the outcome of that hearing involving the former president in the election interference case. The GOP frontrunner went to D.C. in person, would like the case dismissed, and he's arguing he is entitled to presidential immunity. Prosecutors insist the former president's efforts to overturn the election were not part of his official presidential duties, and that is the factor that the judges will now weigh. NewsNation's Tom Dempsey live outside the federal courthouse where Trump spoke just a little while ago and has more on what he had to say as a result of this latest hearing. Tom.
Hey, Marty. Well, I think it's important to know right off the top, too, that no matter what decision this appeals court comes to, whether it's later this week or next week, the losing side will likely appeal this case all the way up to the Supreme Court. Former President Donald Trump, of course, faces allegations that he took part in an alleged criminal scheme to try and overturn the 2020 presidential election results. But to answer your question, during this press conference, the former president, of course, continued to fight back against these charges, saying he did nothing wrong and he was simply acting within his role as president of the United States to investigate claims of voter fraud. Take a listen to what he said.
I think most people understand it, and we feel very confident that eventually, hopefully at this level, but eventually we win. A president has to have immunity. And the other thing is I did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. The investigation of the election, which was a rigged election, everybody knows it.
And Marty, to make things easy for our viewers to understand at home, again, this all revolves around presidential immunity and what exactly that refers to. Generally speaking, is that a president cannot be criminally charged for decisions they made in their official role as president of the United States. So how does that relate to this case? Well, former President Donald Trump's legal team is saying that he did not take part in some, alleged criminal scheme to try and overturn the presidential election results. Instead, he was simply investigating claims of voter fraud, and that if you get rid of this presidential immunity, it could open up a Pandora's box, that's in their own words, and that it could potentially impair a president from making future decisions because they might be worried about being criminally charged. But on the flip side of this, the federal investigators saying that no one is above the law, and it sets a dangerous precedent that, a future president could potentially feel that they might not be criminally liable for their decisions while in office. They're saying that there should be immunity in some certain cases, especially when it revolves around national defense. The appeals court, which is about a three-judge panel, they seem to express a lot of skepticism towards the arguments being made by the Trump legal team. So again, we're still awaiting a decision to come down that is expected to come down rather soon, potentially sometime this week, maybe sometime next week. But again, no matter what decision they end up coming to, we expect the losing side in that case to quickly file an appeal with the Supreme Court, Martin.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.